there is a new group called the Larry H. Miller Group. For those of you who are in Utah or in and around the whole Utah area, you should know that name. The Larry H. Miller Group has made a bid to bring a Major League Baseball team to Salt Lake City, Utah. That is the home of the Utah Jazz. It was the host to the 2002 Winter Olympics and this season's NBA All-Star Game. They believe that that is enough evidence to support justifying bringing a Major League Baseball club to the Salt Lake Valley. There's a lot of back and forth in the media and in the fandom specifically about whether or not this is a good idea. For those of you that don't know, the Salt Lake Bees are the AAA affiliate of the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles and whatever else. And they have been there for since like the 60s or 70s. They've been around a really long time.
Yeah, with various names, but yeah, they've been there in some respect for a very long time. And I think there was a short period of time where they weren't, but it was brief, just brief.
It was brief because I remember they were the Gulls way back in the day.
Oh, and there was this. They were the Stingers, and then
the Stingers.
I think the Stingers actually moved to Portland to be the Beavers, and then they came back as the Buzz.
Yeah,
and Georgia Tech had a problem with that, and now they're the Bees, and they've been the Bees ever since.
Correct. And I think, well, anyway, I'm gonna ask you this, Brad. Do you think Salt Lake City can sustain a Major League Baseball franchise?
You know, it's really interesting because my initial thought, like right off the bat, is absolutely not. No chance. There's no way, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels immediately like there's not enough corporate sponsorship to support a team. Like what we talked about with Portland, there's not the corporate support to have a Major League Baseball team in Portland necessarily. As much as I would love it, I don't think so. Yeah. And so that was kind of my initial thought with Salt Lake. But then you've got all the tech bros down in Silicon Slopes, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of money there. Besides the Larry H. Miller Group and Gail Miller, I actually did some research on this. There are 6 other billionaires in the state of Utah.
Yep.
Who could help invest into this group. And they've got a couple major leaguers. Dale Murphy is one of them.
Yep.
Who's investing into this team. And so and you know what though? Like I was listening to Samson today and he's talking about how the Larry H. Miller Group, they're like, oh, but we've got like this many little leaguers in Utah and like all this and this and this. I'm like, that's not the thing that I would be pitching to Major League Baseball. The thing that I would be pitching to Major League Baseball is there has been a team in Ogden for 20 some odd years.
At least,
that has done well.
Yes.
The Bees draw. They actually draw.
They really do.
Early in the season when it's cold, not so much. But when it warms up, like it's hard to get a seat at a Bees game.
It can be, yeah.
No pun intended, right? And then for a while, there was a team down in Orem, hence the hat, the Orem Owls, for those of you.
Correct.
Boom, there it is, Orem Owls. Mm-hmm. And the only, I'm pretty sure 99% of the reason they moved was because they were playing on a dry campus, so they couldn't sell beer. So they weren't making money.
That's the only reason. It's the only reason.
I've been behind the scenes there, and that's a big conversation there. It's like, oh, we got to pinch pennies because we can't sell beer, you know?
Yep.
So, they moved to northern Colorado because then they could sell beer. But I'm pretty sure that if they could sell beer, they'd still be there.
Oh, I agree.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
They drew pretty well.
And they would be part of the Pioneer League because they would have gotten cut in the Rookie League cut down.
Right. Actually, yeah, I think they are still part of the Pioneer League. But, yeah, they'd just be in Utah instead of in northern Colorado. So, upon further review, Brig, I think Utah might be able to sustain a major league team. I don't know that Major League Baseball is going to necessarily send them there over other options, but there could be worse options.
Oh yeah,
there definitely could be. I think they would consider Salt Lake over Portland at this point.
For sure, I would too. With a roof. My biggest thing about playing in Utah is you have to have a roof. You have to. Yeah. And if you do that, I think you expand your opportunities to bring the game more prominence than in other places that are on the table for expansion right now. Specifically because, I mean, you got to contend with the weather, but think of all of the other events you could hold in that same arena. Utah is notorious for farming out their big box stadiums and their big box indoor arenas for all sorts of garbage that has nothing to do with the proprietary function. Like literally, that is exactly what happened.
You're right.
I grew up just south of there. I know exactly how it works. I'm telling you what, my thoughts were exactly the same. I was initially uh, dismissive, I think is the right word of all of
Yeah, I
this
think it is.
proposal. However, the Silicon Slopes, the population in that area is increasing
Oh, it's insane.
crazy. And with all the transplants and all of the new wave, kind of our generation and down that's growing up, even if they're born there, the sort of how do I say this kindly? The tight grip, the tight fisted hold that the LDS culture has on that area is loosening. And so things like selling beer or a CBD drink in a stadium, in a major league ballpark stadium, are going to be way less problematic, and they're going to face way less pushback than they would have even 5 years ago.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think there's a huge opportunity here for Salt Lake City. Are they more suitable than Nashville? No. Are
No,
they more suitable than Charlotte?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah,
But do they have a competitive opportunity? Yes. And we're going to
definitely.
see. I think a lot of it'll depend on what those other two cities do, if because we have heard nothing out of Charlotte. Nothing.
Right.
We've
Yeah.
heard there's a group making a bid in Nashville, and we
Mhm.
know that's happening, but we've heard nothing out of Charlotte. So if Major League Baseball really wants to jump and add two extra teams, which we've been praying for, like literally praying for, then I think if they're going to pull the trigger now, why not Salt Lake City and Nashville?
Yeah, I think it works geographically too. Like we've talked about, Nashville and Charlotte are probably the best two options, but you can't put two teams that close to each other at this point with realignment. Like you've got to have another team out west, and I think that for that reason alone, like Salt Lake might have like another step up over Charlotte, right?
And if you move Oakland to Las Vegas, right? If you move the A's from Oakland to Vegas, you sort
Man,
of get this patchwork blend together that combines East West. It'll be like the Union
right.
Pacific
But
baseball.
Seattle is going to be on an island, man.
Yeah, that's
Oof.
true. Well,
It's
San
going to be
Francisco's right there, but
yeah, but still
Seattle's been on an island since they were sort
conceived.
of